The death penalty trial for the Parkland, Florida school shooter starts today. Nikolas Cruz pleaded guilty to several counts of first-degree murder and attempted murder last October. Jurors will have the option to sentence him to death or life in prison without the possibility of parole. 14 students and 3 school staff members were killed in the 2018 shooting. 17 other people were hurt.
So for more on the trial now and how it's unfolding, I want to bring in Stephen Harper. He's a former Florida public defender who specializes in death penalty cases. He's also an emeritus professor at Florida International University College of Law. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while, so I think a lot of people, sadly, we've had a number of mass shootings in between this very, very high-profile case. So a lot of people would have forgotten the details. I want you to explain to us the process of a penalty trial, because he's already admitted to this. He's already pleaded guilty. So then how does this portion of the trial work?
Well, it's a brand new jury, and they will make a determination of one thing and one thing only: whether he should die in prison or whether he should be executed. That is the only decision they have to make. And the way that it works is that the prosecutor will put on what they call aggravating factors. Some of them, the most aggravating factors, I think, are it's cold, calculated, and premeditated. It's heinous, atrocious, and cruel. These are statutory aggravating factors that the prosecutor will prove. The defense will put on mitigating factors, all the things that would lead a jury to sentence him to something less than death, which would be the rest of his life in prison. He would die in prison. That's the dynamic that's at play. So the prosecutor is going to illustrate, probably for quite a while, all of the serious things that this person has done. And the defense is going to try to say, this person was mentally ill from the day he was born, and he does not deserve, he's not the worst of the worst, even though the crime is horrific.
So what happens if the jury ultimately can't come to a decision?
Well, that's an interesting question, because in Florida, the law has changed. The jury has to be unanimous in recommending the death penalty to the judge. If the jury is not unanimous, i.e. one juror or 2 jurors or 3 jurors, however many, at least one, does not sentence him to death, he would automatically be sentenced to life. So the defense is going to hopefully, from their point of view, focus on the jurors that they think they have the best chance of getting a life recommendation.
Is there a possibility that we could see Nikolas Cruz take the stand?
I don't think so, for a couple of reasons. One is that he's already pled guilty, and he's a very, I would say, damaged and inarticulate person. And I don't think it would do any good to have him testify. And so I wouldn't expect him to testify.
And then so who would possibly be testifying, I guess, on both sides of the argument?
Well, for the prosecution, they would have the victims' families. They would present evidence of from all the eyewitnesses, or several of the eyewitnesses, as to what happened and how it happened. And the defense would put on largely, not exclusively, but people that knew him from the start, but mostly experts, psychologists and psychiatrists who have evaluated him. And his evaluations go way back. Prior to this case, he was clearly had problems ever since he was born. And there is a documentation, all of which would be presented by the defense, as to his many limitations.
All right, Stephen Harper, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Sure.